Thank you all for being here this evening. So in 2018, our cultural arts employees had an idea. We were tasked with the idea of creating some new ideas when we got this place called Harrison High School, and we all presented like a Shark Tank style presentation. It was really cool to see all these ideas from our staff come out, and one of the ideas was a makerspace. 4 years later, we're here today, and we believe this is a space that other communities will model. If you think about it, not a lot of community centers have makerspaces. And one of our goals was, and is, for Farmington Hills, we have so much support from our mayor, our council, our city administration, to be able to do these kind of ideas, that we're able to develop these kind of things and share the ideas, and then it spins off. And so we really feel this is going to be something that other communities will start to place into their community centers. Once you see it, you'll understand. So I'd like to acknowledge some of the people that are in the room today and welcome you. We have our mayor and council, city administration, members from Bosch and Bosch Community Fund, representatives from MakerWorks of Ann Arbor, our Chamber of Commerce, Parks and Rec Commission, Arts Commission, Michigan Arts Cultural Council, our Economic Development Corporation, some other elected officials, our special services employees, Makerspace employees, and volunteers. So thank you all for being here. So during the development of this space, we really had a lot of support, and the idea is one thing, but when you actually don't know what you're going to do once you have this idea, and we realized we created a factory. Like once you see the equipment in there, there's a lot of safety that goes into it. There's a lot of operating procedures. There's a lot that goes into this, and we were fortunate to meet, and I don't remember how we met, but we were able to meet Tom Root and Dale Grover, and eventually Josh from MakerWorks of Ann Arbor, and we met with them. We spent a week with them, Rachel, Jessica, and I, and we did a 180 of like, wow, that's a makerspace. We now understand what a makerspace is. So Tom Root is here this evening, as well as Dale and Josh from MakerWorks of Ann Arbor, and they've held our hand this whole way. They've consulted us. They've actually brought staff here to help train us. They've invited us into their home to train us. This has been a 2-year, we met in 2019, and we've been working together for 3 years to really create this space. So it took a lot to go into it. So I'd like to invite Tom up to better explain what a makerspace is. So thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. So before I try to answer the question of what a makerspace is, which should only take 3-4 hours. I mean, it should be fine. I'll tell you a little bit about my journey. I come from an organization called Zingerman's in Ann Arbor, places a high value on the concept of visioning. I was at a point in my career where I was looking about what's the next thing I want to do, and what would I do if money were not the object, and unfortunately how prophetic that question was, but that's a different story altogether. I was inspired by an organization that asked the question, should the federal government, this is during the financial crisis of 2009, should the federal government finance a Manhattan-style project to get industry going again, or should we instead turn to 100,000 garages? And so it's a really interesting question, right? How do we revitalize? How do we get things going again? Do we try to do it as one monolithic thing, or do we spread it out and democratize it? Well, I think by way of saying I was introduced as having to do something with makerspaces, you kind of know what my conclusion was, which was that it needs to be democratized. And so the vision that we wrote began with, today we opened our 5th location, and we've only been operating for 5 years. That was literally the opening scene of the vision. So replication has always been the objective. Matter of fact, when I met my partner Dale in this venture, I knew he was the right guy and we were the right team when he asked me, so Tom, we've talked about this makerspace thing and we've got this all figured out, but when are we going to start teaching other people how to do it, right? And think about that question. This is not a situation where we're going to hold all this information to ourselves and we're going to make it proprietary, but rather the question is how do we share it? So the good news is that all of that led to today in some manner. So what is a makerspace? I just met Mary, and we were just talking about the metaphor. She used an excellent metaphor of a makerspace, which is a commercial kitchen, where instead of making food, we're making objects and things. And that's a great one because there's actually this output associated with it. The metaphor that we've always used is a health club, right? It's a big tool space run like a health club. So your membership gets you access to the equipment, access to classes, and in our experience, the most powerful part of the whole thing is access to a community of people. So that organization I mentioned, Zingerman's, we end our meetings on what we call appreciations, and I'm going to demonstrate how that works right now. I want to thank you, the people of Farmington Hills, for taking on the challenge of bringing a new makerspace into existence, okay? Makerspaces are only going to realize their fullest potential when they are everywhere people are, okay? And you've made a huge contribution to that. And from my point, we've spent 12 years trying to build ours. I'm just glad there's someone else on the block. I can't tell you how much I am thankful for you taking this jump and how much we are behind you and very much appreciate what you're doing here. So thank you very much. Congratulations.
So Tom was the CFO and owned Zingerman's mail order. He, in that short amount of time you just heard him speak, we heard him speak for a week, and we could have kept going there. It's just what we learned from Tom and Zing Train was amazing. So I recommend if you have an opportunity, it's amazing. It will make you think differently, and I'll add on to that. So everyone hears of the standard operating procedures, but we actually live by them now. After we attended that week, our whole department changed and we call everything SOPs. And we created so many SOPs, and when we got this place, the Hawk, we needed something to be able to develop that. And that really was, the timing of it was perfect. So thank you for that. You make a bigger difference than you even know. Next, I'd like to invite Jessica, Rachel, and Gary, who are our special services employees, who are really in charge of our makerspace. And they're going to explain a little bit more about how it's going to work here. Everyone's wondering, like, what is this thing? Do you pay for it? Do you not? Is there a program? So they're going to explain a little bit about how that works. So come on up.
Short person here. Thank you. Tom, tough act to follow. Oh my gosh, you're always so inspiring. I'll echo what Brian said. Every day that we were at training was inspiring, just like that. So thank you. And thank you to Brian. I just want to, before I introduce myself, I want to give a shout out to Brian Farmer, Brian Moran, and Ellen Schnackle. They are our department leaders, and they will always give everyone else the credit. They are very humble. But Brian and Ellen have been working for the department for more than half their lives. I think Brian's been here for 25 years, right? I know. Ellen for 20, Brian for 25 years. So this is not a job for them. This is a lifelong commitment and passion. So I just want to give them some credit because they never take the credit. So how about... My name is Rachel Timlin. I have the great honor of overseeing the Cultural Arts Division for the City of Farmington Hills. Every day I get to work with the most brilliant, passionate people, and I am very grateful for that. I'll echo what Brian said. We did spend a week in 2019 at Makerworks, and it was truly one of the most inspiring, influential experiences of my professional career. It really empowered us to develop what we have here at the Hawk. And in a sense, well, literally, Makerworks has written the book on maker spaces. In a sense, similarly, the City of Farmington Hills is writing the book on cultural arts divisions. We are one of the very few municipal arts divisions in the entire state of Michigan, and actually one of the few in the entire country. And it's important because most municipalities consider essential services to be, police, fire, shout out to our guys back there, police, fire, roads, sewage, all of those things are considered an essential service. But in Farmington Hills, We know that arts and culture are integral to a thriving, happy, healthy community. For over 20 years, our city has been leading the way in the state with arts and cultural programs. And with the opening of this whole facility and the Makerspace, I think we can confidently say there is really nothing else like it in the state of Michigan. So we are leading the way in that regard. I think it's something that everyone in this room who's played a part should be proud of. So going back to 2018, like Brian mentioned, when we were tasked to dream big with this space, which, by the way, you never need to tell artists to dream big. We're already dreaming big. You got to tell us to tone it down a little bit. So Jessica and I remember the exact moment sitting in my office, and Jessica said, "You know what we need? We need a makerspace." And it was like that moment, the idea, the seed was planted. And thankfully, when we mentioned the idea to every other person after that, they were very enthusiastic about it, and all the pieces kind of fell together. We met, actually, Rich and Laura Earl came to one of our community development activities regarding what our new community center would look like, and they connected us to our friends over at Makerworks. So all of the pieces just started to fall into place. And it's been 4 years of working with really fabulous people, 2 of them standing right behind me, developing this space. I'm going to introduce Jessica. Jessica Guzman is our visual arts coordinator for the city of Farmington Hills. In my humble but very accurate opinion, she's one of the best arts administrators in the state, so we are very lucky to have her. And she is going to talk a little bit more specifically about our makerspace. Jessica.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. Okay, so Rachel mentioned back in 2018 the seed was planted. All right, so we worked with Makerworks. We started doing some planning. So now let's fast forward, and it's June 2021. And the Hawk has opened, right? There's people bustling around the building. There's campers all throughout the place. There's people working out in the fitness center. And our makerspace is a 5,000 square foot blank space with nothing in it. And that is our opportunity to start building it and building our vision. The team had been working really hard behind the scenes to order all the equipment, which we faced significant delays with COVID and everything else going on. We were building out the space. We were continuing to consult with Makerworks. We were creating all of our safety policies, reviewing all of our safety policies, and reviewing them again. And again, all of this still within COVID, so you can understand some of the delays we were still facing. But since then, we have fully built out the space. We've offered test classes and courses to different focus groups to help us better prepare for the opening to pass holders and the larger public. And we have grown our staff substantially with a significant number of those joining us within just the last month. So thank you for you guys to joining on right now. One of the things that we learned from Makerworks is the value of working towards continuous improvement. That's become one of our mottos within our division and within the Makerspace, and we've truly taken this to heart. Our doors are opening tomorrow, and as I've told the team lots of times, we always do the best that we can with what we have, when we have it, when we know it, at the time we know it. But sometimes that's not always the best. And so tomorrow, when we open our doors, our users in our community might say, "You've done an awesome job preparing for us, and now here's what we'd like to see." We're fully ready to continuously move towards improvement and keep making those changes to make sure that we're giving our users the best creative experience possible at the Hawk Makerspace. This next year, it's going to be a year of experimentation for us. So we're going to be testing the sweet spots between open studio time and classes and where the balance there lies. We're going to be adding some youth classes and hopefully start partnering with some of the local schools. It's our vision. And trying to find and establish where that natural balance, symbiotic balance is going to be and what's going to work for the space. And so to go back to the seed reference, it's been planted, we've tended it, but now it's time for you, our community, to help us make that seed grow. I personally am very grateful for our Hawk Makerspace team. I'm proud of what they have already accomplished, and I'm thrilled to see what we can do in the future. Thank you for your hard work and dedication to seeing this vision become a reality. And I would like to now invite Makerspace Manager Gary Marvickson up here to tell you just a few more things about what you can expect from the Hawk Makerspace.
Needs to be just a little taller. So you've heard a lot about how the vision of the space was put out there and what we were trying to do to build out the space. And the build out of the space has really been something that we've really forged alliances with MakerWorks, certainly with some of the local suppliers. We've really, tried to make sure that Home Depot knows, well, I've got the P card. This is the stuff that we're buying for the Makerspace. So every opportunity that I'm out there, I'm talking about what the space is. And just as building the space became an important part of getting here today, the SOPs, getting the training together, getting all of the layout right and correcting it when it wasn't right, these are things that our volunteers, our technicians, our staff have all been very supportive of. At this point, I want to give a shout out to two specific technicians who have been here the longest with us. Julia Rode. Julia, where are you? Julia has done an excellent job, primarily in the upstairs creative space of the Makerspace. And Eric Richardson, who unfortunately isn't here tonight, but he was clearly the lead for all of our wood shop and all of the tool organization that I think you'll be impressed with when you see it downstairs. They both worked hard on the SOPs and clearly have made the rest of the technical staff able to move forward. We've hired more assistants and technicians, and I'd like you guys to raise your hands now, kind of show these are our new team that were different levels of training. Thank you guys, appreciate it. And our volunteers, we've got Carrie Ann and Mitch, who have been here every Thursday night for as long as I can remember. We've got Dennis Miller and Mark McFarland over here, who have done quite a bit to make sure we're doing that. Who am I missing? I'm missing somebody. Phil. Oh yeah, Phil. Best man in my wedding. So yeah, we've had a great team to get us to this point, and the big part of that is the build-out phase is primarily done. Now comes the hard part. I want to read the mission statement. The Hawk Makerspace empowers makers of all ages and abilities by providing access to quality technical space. We work with our participants to foster a culture of community by way of shared resources, shared knowledge, shared experiences, and shared responsibility. The community aspect of that, and I think Tom mentioned it, is the culture of the space that we now are faced with the next big challenge, making it the kind of space that is all-inclusive, that is creative, that is patient, and shares grace. That is the key, I think, to being successful in the next phase of what we're trying to accomplish here. So thanks for all of your support in trying to help us get to this space, and please help us get to the next space, where we become that culture. Thank you.
So Gary is retired, a resident of Farmington Hills, and there couldn't be anybody more perfect than Gary leading this. And I think he got teared up at the end there because he's retired and he's not supposed to be working so much. But again, that says a lot of this culture is that a resident that cares so much about his community is here with us to develop this space. And all of the employees that are going to be and volunteers in the Makerspace, we appreciate you so much because you're a large part of what this is going to be. And you heard earlier, I mean, this is the first of what will be many makerspaces and community centers, and we're going to make that happen by developing a model that people are going to say, we want that in our community. So as leaders in the field, in the profession, our job is to go out and tell this story in a couple of years and say, here's how it all happened. So we are prepared to do that, and we all together are a team that needs to make that happen. So you haven't heard the name Bosch yet. I mentioned it earlier that there's a representative here from Bosch and some representatives, but how in the heck did we even make this happen when it comes to the funding of it? This would not have been approved in a budget. Like, we can't say to our council and mayor and city manager, like, we need over $500,000, maybe 600,000, 700,000 to do this random idea. So that would be, they probably would lose their jobs if we asked that and they gave it. So we had to present this idea to Bosch, and I believe that because of our prior successes with what we've done in this community with our nature center and some other things that Karen Folgers will come up and tell you about, I think we've proved to be successful, and they gave us the largest grant that Bosch Community Fund ever has funded, I think, in the world. Is that correct? In the U.S. Okay, in the U.S. Well, we want the most in the world. So that's huge that they gave Farmington Hills the largest grant from Bosch. And Bosch is such a respected business in the world. So we're honored to be able to receive that, and we will do our best to make you proud. And we will, I guess, with that, we have this relationship. Kat, that runs Bosch Community Fund, is amazing. And so one example of this relationship of how it's not just here's the money and go do what you need to do. We're done. We just got to get rid of this money. They really want to make a difference. That's the difference between some organizations that give money and then some that really care. And Bosch really cares. So this is one fun example of how they continue to give. So we're going to get 3 of these, and we're going to creatively come up with ways to get more people involved in the makerspace. So the one way we're going to use this tool is on our social media. We're going to invite people to join our newsletter, and we're going to give this away to one lucky winner. So that's just one cool way of like just keeping this thing exciting and fun. So look for more of these tools from Bosch as we continue to go. With that, I'd like to invite Karen Folger, who is the Bosch Community Fund trustee and the vice president, one of the vice presidents of North America Bosch. So come on up.
Thank you. What an honor to be here with you guys, and how exciting for us. This is something we've also been involved in since back in 2018 when we first came and talked about it with the team and really understood what was this random investment that we were making in the makerspace, and really proud to be here. The Bosch Community Fund was started in the U.S. in 2012, and since that time, really, we've been working with the community of Farmington Hills as a partner. As Brian said, what we do in the Community Fund is meant to make investments in the communities where we work and live with a specific set of guidelines all around STEM education and the environment, and education especially for young and underprivileged students. So the opportunity to work with Farmington Hills has been really a sort of a lifelong passion of the Community Fund here in Farmington Hills. We have invested, as Brian said, we've granted about $530,000 to the city of Farmington Hills for the Makerspace in particular. Since 2012, we've granted $800,000 to the city of Farmington Hills specifically for the Nature Center, for the fishing pier at Heritage Park, and other activities within Farmington Hills. And since our, thank you. Since we started in 2012, actually in the greater Farmington Hills area, the Bosch Community Fund has contributed $2.2 million to the communities here in the area. As I said, that's really because we like to really be a part of the communities where we work and we live. Here in Farmington Hills, there are 1,400 Bosch associates that work and in many cases live in Farmington Hills or the surrounding area. So likely you will see them in the makerspace as well. We couldn't be happier to be supporting you and to be here with you tonight for this really exciting moment. As far as we know, this makerspace is the largest municipality-linked makerspace in the country. So it's a really big deal what you're doing, and we're super happy to be a part of it. Thanks and congratulations.
Thank you again. I'd like to invite Mayor Barnett to come up, and she will say a few words and then lead us down to the makerspace. And we are about right on time, so I'm feeling good about that. So once Mayor Barnett invites us down, we're going to walk to the makerspace, and we'll cut the ribbon, and then we'll check out the space.
Thank you. To Zingerman's, thank you for the Bacon of the Month kit. It's really good. Even Michael Simon, one of the greatest chefs, says, if you're not signed up, you're missing a lot. So I wanted to thank you for that. And I do want to thank you for all your help here, too. And to Karen, thank you for letting our community bask in the sunshine of your financial love. We are very, very grateful. I've always felt that parks and recreation and the pursuit of artistic endeavors are critical to the health, safety, and welfare of a community. They allow people to express themselves in healthy ways. Without art, this would just be an empty room of unknown color. And art plays a role in everything we do as human beings. In fact, it is what separates us from the other animals on this planet. And so in celebration of all of that, I cannot tell you how excited I am to finally have moved past Marquette, Michigan on the list of great art spaces, and to provide what I kind of call a library of creative tools to our residents. When you send your kids off to camp, you know that they're going to be playing archery, and they're going to be playing ball, and they're going to go to arts and crafts and make stuff. Where's the camp for us? We decided we were going to build it. We were going to nurture it. If you want to create a business, we will be opening an innovation center in here as well. And yes, we did cajole our state representative into a hefty contribution for that. And we are really grateful to the residents of Farmington Hills who have allowed us to hire staff that are so committed to this program that everything they touch turns to gold. It is so incredible. The only thing we're missing, I just can't help it, I've got to say commercial kitchen, because everybody here knows I wanted a commercial kitchen. But I will settle for woodworking, ceramics, the joy of just people getting together to knit, to sew, to quilt, to design, to make furniture, and to collaborate in a very healthy way. Thank you very much, and I'm going to ask you now to join us as we move into the makerspace, where you get to see all the fruits of the labor of everybody who is here, who has worked on this project, and indeed donated so generously to it.
We have been talking to the city of Farmington Hills for so many years about this space, seeing it raw when it was still just in the beginnings. So it's been a long, labor of love for the city of Farmington Hills, and they do such great work with all the other programs that we have supported through the past, 10 years that we were very excited to see this come to fruition. And it's an absolutely beautiful space. I mean, it's just magnificent.
I have a full-time engineering job, so it's kind of like a hobby for me. So I get to come here and really have a say in what gets made here and how everything comes together. And I really get the chance to meet some amazing people by coming here and seeing the community grow.
So Farmington Hills, I think, is going to make an excellent spot for a makerspace for two reasons. One, maybe a little nuanced and subtle, and that is it's a great community, a community that clearly cares about itself. The second, a little more obvious, is it's a great space, and all of this space being under one roof, and the cross possibilities of the makerspace and the theater and the pottery and the pool and so on, that's going to take this opportunity to a different level for sure.
Well, this is an awesome realization of about 3 years of talking about, hey, the city of Farmington Hills is going to create a makerspace. So we got to come when this space was empty and talk about the vision. And of course, we had already approved the grant. But so it's just a really great realization after all that time to see the real picture come to life.
And you get so much from the community aspect of it, and sharing different techniques and different ways of thinking about design problems even. And just that community aspect makes the entire endeavor worth it, in my opinion. Come to the Makerspace and check it out. It's for everyone.